Welcome to All Gen Gamers, a podcast for people in video games of all generations. Starring Pete Dorr, HappyConsoleGamer, Gamester81, and Jason Heine.
Hey guys, and welcome to episode 11 of All Gen Gamers. I'm one of your co-hosts, John, also known as Gamester81 on YouTube. We've got Johnny Millennium, HappyConsoleGamer. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing great. We have Jason Heine, the EMU Review. What's up, Jason?
What it do?
And we got Pete Dorr, also on YouTube, and we're all on YouTube. So how you doing, Pete?
I'm doing pretty good here.
And it's a pleasure to be joined by RobMan. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Now, RobMan is one of Johnny Millennium's hosts on the Happy Console Gamer show. So I'll kind of have you guys talk about, how you guys got started with the channel and what you guys do. And Rob, you can kind of talk about some games you like playing, all that good stuff. So,
wow. I'll sum it up real quick just so we can get into the episode today. But basically I started the show, the Happy Console Gamer, and it was going well and I was enjoying doing it on YouTube. And then I thought, well, geez, why don't I bring on my best friend? And I did, and we had such good chemistry. We have such good chemistry in life. That's why we're friends. And it just translated really onto the screen type of thing, and we're having a good time. So I started bringing Rob on more and more, and the audience loved him, which I knew they would. So that's kind of how we got started. What do you want to add to that, Rob?
You know what? Yeah, we've been talking about games since the first time we hung out, and it never stopped. The only difference is now there's a camera on one side of the room. Yeah. Literally, this is our life day to day. Yeah, and that's just recorded now, so everyone else gets to share it.
Yeah, we're sitting in the same room right now. For anybody who's we're not doing this on Skype. We're sitting next to each other to actually pull this off. But yeah, no, we had such a fun time doing it, and we just keep on doing it, and everybody the response has been awesome. So we just keep on doing it. That's really it now.
I definitely think your chemistry really works through the show as well. You guys feed off each other pretty well. Awesome. So tonight's episode, we're going to talk about the Nintendo Entertainment System turning 25 years old on October 18th of this year. Hard to believe.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It makes me feel old.
Very old.
Oh, it's shocking because every time I think about 25 and Nintendo, I just shake my head.
Yeah. Is it really 25 years ago, eh? Isn't that amazing?
1985 is when it came out, yeah.
Wow.
That thing came out before I was born, for Christ's sakes.
I think I got mine in 87. I think that's when I first got my NES. 87.
Well, the Nintendo Entertainment System launched in 1985 in small select test markets in North America, Australia, and Europe. In 1986 or 87, they did the full mass market release. So most people got theirs closer to that time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. But I think it's, no one would argue that the Nintendo Entertainment System had such an influence on gaming even today. It really brought back the gaming, because you had the video game crash of 83 and people were kind of hesitant to getting back in the gaming. And it wasn't for the Nintendo coming back and having the balls really get back in the market. I think that was, I give Nintendo a lot of credit.
Yeah, and I think it was smart too, after the crash, they said, okay, we can't try to market this as a video game console per se. So they were really smart with it, and as a lot of people know the history, they marketed it as an entertainment system, almost like a toy, selling with, remember, Rob the Robot and, the game Gyromite and all these sort of things. And it appealed to a different audience. And I think that was a really smart move on Nintendo, a really smart marketing technique for sure.
It was funny. Me and Rob were talking earlier on. It's like, could you imagine if the NES never came out, or imagine it failed? Could you imagine what kind of video gaming world we'd be in right now?
It's really hard to imagine.
There'd be no Final Fantasy for one, no Mega Man, no Mario.
What's an interesting fact, guys, that a lot of people don't know about was Nintendo was going to team up with Atari to bring the Nintendo Entertainment System to the North America, but Atari found out. Did you know that?
I was just talking to Johnny about that tonight. I was telling him that because Atari backed out because Nintendo allowed Coleco to have Donkey Kong.
Right. So imagine how different it would be if Atari stuck with Nintendo. I mean, what a huge mistake by Atari. Can you imagine?
For sure.
I think the only person more bitter right now would be the guy that missed out on Tetris.
Yeah.
That's true. That's just a whole nother podcast you can talk about Tetris for, It's crazy story there.
But I guess, if you think back, hypothetically, I guess the Sega Master System would have taken over. There would have been no competition for it. they would have just come in and that would have been that, right? Maybe be a totally Sega dominated video game industry right now.
Yeah, but do you think the Sega? But do you think the Sega Master System would have been around if it wasn't for the Nintendo Entertainment System?
That is something I don't know. That's total hypotheticalness, right? Was like, here's a question, something I don't know, guys. The Famicom came out, then the Mark III came out after that, obviously. But was it influenced by Nintendo's success, or did they want to do it themselves? Because they were a huge arcade market at that point, Sega. Well,
yeah, I think to a point, Sega probably saw the market and saw that there were people buying systems, and obviously, when you have something successful, there's going to be competitors to try to get a part of
there
that.
has to be competitors. I say it was. Yeah. I'm sure it was influenced.
Well, I mean, look at the design of the controller and basically the way that the game's played. Although they called it 1 and 2 instead of A and B, it was basically a controller paddle with 2 buttons and a directional set.
Yeah.
It's the parallels are there. They were obviously trying to get some of that market.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. The Sega Master System had a light gun, and they had a whole bunch of similar accessories. They, both in Japan, the Famicom had like a 3D glasses, and the Sega Master System had the 3D glasses. So there's a lot of parallels with a lot of similarities. I don't think it's a coincidental,
The one big kudos I give to Sega, though, for their Master System was that they actually had games built into the hardware. You could turn it on with no cartridges, and you had Safari Hunt and what was it? Was it Hang On?
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But then the thing is, too, it's like if you talk to somebody that obviously isn't a gamer these days, say they're like in their 50s and 60s, and you talk about like old video game consoles, the system that comes to mind is the NES. I'd say like 95% of those people don't even know what a Master System is.
Yeah, I know.
That's marketing.
Yeah. It's just amazing. Yeah, for sure. Like as a kid, the NES was just overtook. Everybody had an NES, and there'd be one kid in the class maybe that had a Master System. And I was over at his house playing on it. You know what I mean?
Pete, I completely agree with you on that. But though you look at the market, you look at Brazil and you look at Europe, Sega Master System sold a lot better than the Nintendo did. And even today, what's that?
No, that's absolutely true. I've gotten so many messages from Brazil, from people who live in Brazil who are huge Phantasy Star fans. And that's how I found out that the Master System was doing so well down there. You're right.
Yeah, they're still making the Sega Master System down in Brazil, believe it or not. I mean, it's still huge. They're making games for it. There's
no way.
Yeah, they're like built in. They have like 30 games built in to these consoles all in one, and it's a huge market down there. But this podcast is we're talking about the Nintendo, not Sega Master System, I guess. But that's interesting, right?
Well, sorry, can I hop in there?
Yeah.
The other thing that Nintendo did that was quite brilliant at the time is they flexed marketing muscle in ways that the competitors didn't. They brought in third party, they welcomed them with open arms, and put a lot of money in supporting the advertising for third party games, and that got them a massive, massive benefit in that all of a sudden Capcom, Konami, Square, Enix, all these companies are pumping out games, Jalico even, and HAL Systems. They're all pumping out games for the NES because they know Nintendo will help them make money back.
Yeah, I know that's right. But then you have the Nintendo seal of quality, which Nintendo brought around to ensure the gamers that the games were going to be quality games. Because I think part of the problem was back when Atari 2600 was popular, there's a lot of terrible games for the market.
That was the big reason why it crashed, and that was their, foolproof, hand select. I mean, really, they put their seal on it. I mean, you think they actually physically looked and critiqued the game and made sure it was up to their standards, and that was a foolproof way for them not to see a repeat of that. Very smart, very smart.
Yeah, it's really funny too because now you look at the games on the Wii and stuff, and it doesn't say Nintendo's seal of quality. It's just the Nintendo seal, and that's it. No quality on there. So it's like they don't have faith in everything that's being brought out anymore. Actually, here's a question that one of you might know. When did Sega start copying their Sega seal of, I don't know if they call it seal of quality, but they started using a seal of their own. When did they start that?
That's back in the Genesis, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was the Genesis, I think, yeah. I'm guessing. I don't remember on any of the Master System stuff, so I'm thinking Genesis, yeah.
And I know Sonic 2 had it. I think Sonic 1 had it. And I think it might have been before Sonic 1. Yeah, interesting. No, you're right, though. Sega did copy that, didn't they? It's funny.
Interesting.
Well, Nintendo has been responsible for so many of the innovations, starting with the NES and working their way up. And I don't think they necessarily get as much credit as they should. I mean, we all know they're a staple, but in more recent years, it's been kind of, oh, yes, Nintendo. Yes, they're still around. But they really did rock the game world.
Yeah, we honestly, without them, without Nintendo, could you imagine the world we'd be living in? What kind of, it's hard to imagine. It's very hard to imagine. So, yeah, they were the foundation for myself, really. I know a lot of people grew up, in the in the 70s and all of that, but for me, it was the NES. It was the NES that I can say even for Rob, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I had a VIC-20 before that, and I loved it, and I still have it, but the Nintendo blew my brain open.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question for Rob. Is that why do you think that was? Like, there's the games in the Atari and all, and they're fun stuff. But what was it about the NES that kind of did it for you? That all of a sudden you said, "Holy cow, this is awesome! This is the most amazing machine."
Would this be an all right time for me to actually, because it ties into how I first had my experience with it? We were all going to share our stories. Can I share mine now?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, well, back in 1987, when I was in the heady age of grade 5, a kid moved up from Arizona, and I'd never heard of Nintendo. I'd never seen one, and he had one. And we got to be friends, and he said, well, why don't you come over to my house after school? And we could play Nintendo. And I said, we can play a what? Is that a board game? What is this? And he just laughed and rolled his eyes, and he brought me to his house, and we went up, and he had a separate room, the first games room I'd ever seen, that had a TV, his Nintendo, an official Nintendo player's guide, and about 15 games. And it just blew my mind. And the first game he put on was Legend of Zelda. And the second game was Metroid. And those two changed my life. The graphics were so much more detailed than the VIC-20. The music just woke something up in me. There were almost tears in my eyes at how amazing it was, and so simple and yet so challenging and fun. Yeah. And we played it. I was late. I missed dinner because I was still over at his house. He missed dinner because he told his mom he couldn't eat yet because we were playing. And that started a year and a half begging binge at my house for my parents to pick one up. Please, I need a Nintendo? And I wouldn't say any other word than Nintendo for the next year and a half.
That's hilarious. I love it. It's funny. That kind of goes into my experience is that I just went to a guy's house and there's all the kids in the neighborhood over there. And I'm like, what's everybody doing? And they're all playing this Nintendo and they're playing this game called Super Mario Brothers. And I'm like, what is that? What are those ducks on the screen? I didn't know what it was. I just saw this little man running down on the screen, but and I sucked. I was so bad at it. I'm running and I didn't know I had to press a button, and I fell down this hole. I'm like, oh, I said, I don't really like this game, I didn't quite understand it. But after a little bit of time playing it, I start to understand. I'm like, oh, wow, there's levels, and I got to pass this level. And it was different than what I played on the Atari. Remember games I taught you about playing and The Empire Strikes Back? It was the same level looping over and over and over. Sure. This was kind of neat that there's in these games now, it's like, wow, levels that progressed. And you're just like, wow, I finished that world, and I go to the next world. The Nintendo was just doing some really cool things. And then, them seeing The Legend of Zelda. I didn't even know. The thing is, though, I didn't understand The Legend of Zelda when I first saw it. I'm like, what is this? I totally didn't get it. I thought, what is it, an action game? Is it, is it a role-playing game? I didn't understand that game. It took me about 6 months to finally get a hold of a copy of it and play it. And then I still didn't get it for about a week. And then I'm like, I'm starting to understand this now. But it was so unique, fresh, and different, the NES. It's funny, games. So what was your first experience playing the NES?
It was probably back in early 87. My neighbor had an NES. And kind of similar to RobMan's story, I would come over to his house every day after school, and we would play games like Duck Hunt. I was just blown away at the zapper gun and how that worked. I still can't explain it, to be honest with you. And then you had games like Super Mario Brothers. And it was you got to keep in mind the games at the time. You had Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Frogger, games like that were kind of one screen, where Super Mario Brothers brought you into a world and a story. And that was so unique and just so groundbreaking. You think how many 2D platformers are just because of that game. And same with Legend of Zelda. Look how many games have been influenced by Legend of Zelda. It's amazing. Incredible. How about you, Pete?
Well, obviously because NES came out before I was even born. My memories with it would be down at my aunt and uncle's house. They had theirs in the basement, and the memories that always stick out to me the most are, opening up this cupboard, and they had a lot of still new sealed games down there. They hadn't even opened up a lot of them, but I still remember to this day opening up a brand new sealed copy of Legend of Zelda that, who knows, still might even be sealed. Would have been sealed to this day if I hadn't gotten to it. Could you imagine that? But I just remember breaking open the seals on all these games, and the ones that stood out to me were obviously Mario Brothers 1, Duck Hunt. They never had Mario Brothers 2, so it wasn't till years and years later that I got to play that game, and I don't know, I just wasn't too impressed with it. Mario Brothers 3, of course. One game though that I played a lot of, it was very challenging, was Fester's Quest. Did any of you ever play that game?
Yeah, it's classic.
Oh, that was awesome.
It's so hard though.
I know. I don't know how I played it, but I just remember really loving how it sort of felt like this overworld. I haven't played it in years, but I have the, tell me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it very similar to, say, as the original Zelda, sort of with the overworld where you can kind of move around on the map freely?
Yeah.
Well, it kind of blended elements of that with elements of all things, the original Phantasy Star, because you had an overworld where you were walking around shooting and doing action, but if you went into the buildings, it suddenly went first person and it was all exploration. It was really bizarre.
It's been a long time since I played that game, actually. That's a long time ago. That's wild.
Wow, I barely even remember that much. Maybe, who knows, maybe as a kid I never even went into the buildings. Maybe I just wandered around on the world map, not knowing what to do. But let's see, Metroid, I played some of that. Honestly, one game that I enjoyed more than Metroid back then was a game called Air Fortress. Any of you ever hear that at all?
Oh, that's a classic. It was neat for letting you jump out of the ship at the halfway point and turn into a little guy running around.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of almost similar to the way that Metroid plays from what I remember with it. It's sort of like a side-scrolling shooter, and then you get out of the ship and you sort of have this, like you said, a little man that can kind of run around and jump around. And I think you had a jetpack too, so you can kind of float in the air. I had a lot of fun with that. But it wasn't until maybe 7 years after that, when I was playing as a kid, maybe 5 years, I picked one up at a flea market. And that was after I had my Genesis. That was right around the time when I got my PlayStation 1. But it took me a while to own my own NES, but I still went back to it and I was able to appreciate it. It's just very unfortunate that the first one I ever owned had, it didn't read the cartridges at all. So I had to open that thing up and replace it with a new pin connector. Which I'm sure there actually might be some people listening to the show that have a problem where if you turn on your old NES and the light keeps blinking on the system or the screen keeps flashing, it means that the pins in your system are basically, they're shot. The easiest way to do it is just open that thing up and go on eBay and search for a pin connector. Type in NES pin connector. It's a really, really easy swap. You don't really got to know how to do any modding at all, and that'll fix your problem. Because what it is if you leave a cartridge in there, say you put in a Mario for the NES and you play it, and then you leave it in there for 8 years, it's going to ruin the pin contacts on the system. It's going to push them down. So you got to replace that. So don't leave cartridges in your NES.
Yes, it stretches them out.
Yeah. Pretty common for it, yeah.
Yeah, it was most notably, it was the pin that was connected to the lock chip that it would read in the cartridge, because the system itself had a lock chip to prevent unauthorized games being played on it. Which eventually tech heads got around. But that pin was notorious amongst all the others for going loose the fastest, which is unfortunate because, it caused the blinking pink screen of death.
How about you, Jason? What's your fondest memories of the NES?
Well, it was Christmas.
Nice.
1987. And I got a Nintendo. And I didn't ask for it. I just got lucky. I actually didn't know a whole lot about it at the time, which is crazy. But once I did get it, it just blew my mind. I was the kid on the block where all the friends came over to play. I was that house.
Nice.
So what happened was we got this Nintendo console, and just like you, Gamester, I was blown away at how the light gun worked. I don't know how it worked. I didn't know what it was doing, but all I knew was that when I pointed that gun at that damn duck and I shot, he would drop. And it was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. And so I played that a ton, and I could only get to I don't know what it was, level 3 or 4, being a young kid, but I just kept playing it. And then we had the platformer, we had Mario Brothers that it just, incredible game. You know, it was something about the sound and the music and just everything was so colorful. I mean, you know, pre this, I was playing board games, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we were doing. I was riding bikes. I was, you know, now I'm stuck in my house and like similar stories. I missed dinner. I missed events. I was constantly getting yelled at to come upstairs and I just could not put the thing down. And, you know what? And a year later in 1987, I broke my leg playing soccer. And well, that sucks. Yeah, it sucks. But what did I get to do? Sit in my house all day long on the couch and play Nintendo, which is what I did. And because I broke my leg, my parents, they felt bad for me. And they said, let's go to, where do we go? I think it was Sears. Said, let's go to Sears and you can pick out any game you want. So what did I pick out? I want to hear guesses. Can you guys guess what game? Now, remember, it's 1987.
87. I think you picked out Zelda.
Okay.
Good guess. Yeah.
I'm going to say Super Mario Brothers 2.
Okay. Good guess.
I'm going to say Mega Man. Mega Man? Was that out then?
Yep.
87?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was 86.
Excite Bike, was that out?
Yeah, that was, yeah.
No, they're all very good guesses. All good titles that I could have picked out. But gentlemen, I bought the first Contra.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I played that for as long as my leg was broke. I have very, very fond memories of that game. Contra and I, we go way back.
Oh, definitely. Like,
do you remember, Jason, how long did it take you to complete the game in one sitting? Did you ever, how long did it take you to master the game to be able to complete it in like what, those 15 minutes or 12 minutes it takes to beat the game?
Yeah, I was probably 15 to 20 minutes at that time. Mm-hmm.
Damn. Wow.
But I just kept doing it over and over, because
repetition back then, right?
Even though everything worked identical, the sprites came out at the same time, they were at the same spots, it took the same amount of hits. For some reason, that game to me at that time just felt like the gameplay was different every time I played it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's weird saying, I know, but
no, I understand exactly what you mean.
It's so true with that game.
That game co-op is so epic on that game. Playing 2-player.
God, I know.
Yeah.
So epic. It's frustrating when the guy you're playing someone who like jumps ahead and then you're like falling behind. That's kind of frustrating, but
yeah, but you can't advance for sure.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
But there's a testament that you can still pick up Contra today, and it's still excellent. It's still a good game. We're not blinded with the past or whatever, but Contra 1 is still a really great game.
God,
and I'll actually go a step. Oh, sorry. I'll go a step farther. I will say that people today who think they're the most hardcore and elite of Xbox and whatever else gamers, pick up an NES and I'll throw down the gauntlet. The games from back then are harder than what they make today, hands down.
I was just about to say the same thing. So much more challenging games back then,
without a doubt. You
could actually die. You had 3 lives and the game's over.
There is such a thing as no continues.
Yeah, like two words to bring any modern gamer to tears: Battletoads.
Oh yeah.
Game's so hard. Yet the graphics were great for the system back then.
They were amazing at the time, but yeah.
Rare did a fantastic job on that title. Mind-blowing visuals.
Well, that's the other thing I love about the NES is that it was around for such a long span of time. And really and truly, from the first game, Super Mario Brothers, up to the final game, Wario's Woods, you can see the progression of the graphics. And it wasn't that they released new hardware or update chips or patches. They couldn't. They worked with what they had, and they found ways to make magic with it that no one could have believed possible.
Yeah. The NES, in the end of the day, you just couldn't believe what they were doing on it. It was just amazing. Yeah, with the RPGs and stuff like that. Dragon Quest IV and stuff like that. It was really well done.
Ninja Gaiden, the introduction of the animated cutscenes.
Yeah, were unbelievable at the time, for sure.
Yeah, because even in in 91 when the Super NES came out, and of course I was like front row on that one this time. I was on the game. But like even when I got my Super NES, I mean the Nintendo platform, the NES platform was so successful and so massive. I mean, people were still making games. I mean, I was buying games for my NES a year or 2 years down the road. I totally
yeah, I know.
was.
It's funny. I think I mentioned that. I mentioned that in an episode. Is that I went to the States and I was buying TurboGrafx games and Genesis games. But you know what? I went and bought Final Fantasy 1 on the NES as well. Exactly. It was still that good.
Mm-hmm. Great game.
I was always curious why Nintendo decided to discontinue the games so early. Because think about it, the Game Boy was around and had pretty comparable graphics, and the Game Boy was supported for how many more years than the NES? That's just something I always wondered.
I think the NES had come to the end of its life. They had pumped as much as they could.
The Game Boy had the portability factor, right? It was the first handheld. So although graphics were comparable, they were smaller cartridges in a smaller handheld system.
It's true. Yes. Yeah. But I just like the accessories for the NES too. Some of the stuff like the U-Force, granted it didn't work half the time, but you think about how that really almost is like the Wii almost, motion control, it's really odd. They were ahead of its time back in the day.
There's so many peripherals, There was just so many.
God.
It was ridiculous. I can't even keep up. I couldn't even, when I think back, I'm just blinded by everything. All the pads, Jesus. All the, there's like chairs you could sit in that would launch you to the moon. Like, it was ridiculous what they had for that machine. It was crazy.
Yeah. Like the power pad is almost like a pre-Dance Dance Revolution deal,
There are so many things like that pioneered, accessories that we still use today. Do you guys remember? Okay, I had, I don't even know how I came across this. Maybe a friend left it at my house or something. I have no idea. But I had the Konami Laser Scope headset. Do you guys remember that thing? Konami made you'd wear it. It was like a headset, like headphones, but then right in the center of your head, it would come down like across your forehead and in front of your right eye, and it had a little scope on it and a blue like plexiglass like viewer almost, and like it would actually have a red dot on it, and it had a microphone too. I mean, the list goes on. It had a mic, and you would use it for like shooter games, so like Duck Hunt or whatever. Anyway, you would say fire.
Oh, yeah.
Wherever the red dot was lined up on the screen, it would shoot.
There was an angry video game nerd did an episode on that thing.
Oh, he did? Oh.
All he kept saying was, fire, fire, fire.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can say anything as long as voice is being transmitted through the mic, but that thing was incredible. It had little pads where your ears go. It was comfortable. It was adjustable. It's just crazy, the devices that they came out with.
They had, what's that hands-free controller they released too for people who you'd play like basically with your mouth? Is that right? Like, it was weird. Do you remember hearing about that?
No,
I don't think so.
Yeah. There's like this, it's really rare. It's like this Nintendo hands-free remote. So you basically, for those who couldn't play with it, like didn't have any hands or whatever, you could actually play with your mouth. It was really weird. And it's like super rare. Yeah. Yeah.
There was also a prostitute that you could plug into the NES as well, and that would work. I enjoyed that one. My dad really had fun with that.
Yeah, how was plugging that one in? Was that good?
Well, yeah. She had a bit of a problem when she was tied up, but when you let her off into the living room, she's calmed down a little bit, and yeah.
Yeah, wasn't that the Humpatron 2000 by Mattel?
Were the slots loose in that one?
Oh, Jesus! I opened up a can of worms with that. So hey, guys, I'll put you all on the spot, and I'm not going to give you too long to think about it. I'll ask Pete first. What is your favorite NES game?
Oh, Super Mario Brothers 3. I mean, that's probably the given that most people choose. I know a lot of people, choose it, but that would be mine because I have the most memories playing that game back then. I think out of most of the NES titles, I think
that's a good choice. Absolutely,
it holds up.
Argue with you.
Yeah, no one's going to argue. So,
Gamester.
Do I have to just pick one, or can I pick three, or
you
just
can pick
one?
Only one.
Only one. All right, I probably have to agree with Pete then and say Super Mario Bros. 3 as well for me.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, but
I'm going to ask.
So many like close ones are close to that,
Yeah, it's tough. It's really hard. I'm going to ask Rob, and I have a funny feeling I might know his answer. But Rob, what is your favorite NES game of all time?
Ooh, I think this might be a shocker to the listeners, especially if they watch the show. Are you ready? Mega Man 2. Absolutely, hands down, beyond a shadow of a doubt. From the music to the levels, that game was just, is, and forever will be my favorite video game of all time.
Nice answer. I like that. Jason, favorite. Oh, I think I know the answer to this now. I think everybody knows the answer to this one. Favorite NES game of all time.
Contra.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to answer for you, but I thought
I love Contra. You know what's tough? I'm so you can't ask what favorite. There's so many.
I know.
Oh my
but
god! Because I'm like, you know what? Screw you. I like Kirby's Adventure too. Kirby's Adventure.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Kirby's is classic.
It's a
I was going
tie.
to mention
It's
that
a really
too.
tie between those two for me. And then they have all the racing games, and then Mario 3. Shit, that was so good. I don't know.
You know what's a really like a sleeper game that a lot of people don't really like recognize as much as it should be? It's a shooting game. It's called Gotcha. You guys remember that game?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I do. I remember that because it wasn't that like a paintball.
Yeah, it
gun
was.
that- in the old days. Yeah.
It played a lot like Operation Wolf, and you used a zapper gun, and you had paintball. I played that game for hours. You know, not many people really talk about the game, but Gotcha's classic. I think it's an LJN game release.
I don't know. I remember the game. I remember I always wanted one of the guns back in the day. I was like, oh, I wish I could get a gotcha gun. That'd be so awesome. But for myself, favorite NES game, I'll have to say Zelda 1.
Thank God someone said it, or else we'd be getting so much hate mail.
Yeah. That or Dragon Warrior 4. That's if I had to say a second one, which I'm not allowed to because I created the rules for that stupid thing. But definitely would be Dragon Warrior 4. So that's cool.
Good question.
I got
good
a question. I got a question for you guys. This might be a little tough to put you on the spot with, but a game that was only released. Think of a game that was only released on the NES that never got any sequels on any other systems. Which one would you like to see receive a remake or a sequel from a game that was only on the NES?
Oh, I got it.
Yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
This is great. I got an awesome answer. Crystalis. Ooh. And what's funny is, for anybody out there, Crystalis was like a Zelda. I wouldn't say a Zelda clone, not at all. It was inspired, perhaps, but it was definitely its own game, created by SNK of Neo Geo fame. And a lot of people don't know this, but there was supposed to be a sequel on the Neo Geo hardware. There was supposed to be an arcade game of it, and it never came out. But that was on the list of things that were supposed to come. So, definitely, I love Crystalis. That music, oh man, that takes me back. But so sorry, there's my answer. Crystalis. I'd love a Crystalis too.
Anybody else have one picked out yet? Rob, you know of one?
Yep, go ahead, Rob.
No, you go ahead. I'm still trying to figure one out.
Go games.
One just popped in my head. It's Trojan. It's a Capcom game.
Nice.
A side scroller, and it's based on, I believe, on an arcade. But it's just great. I mean, you can cut off people's heads. It was really one of those challenging almost, but I remember between scenes, kind of like Ghosts and Goblins, how you had it showed the map. It's very similar to Trojan kind of style game. Classic. Never really made it to any other system, I don't believe. So awesome. Anyone else have one picked out?
I got one. You guys ever play Life Force?
Yes,
Oh,
definitely.
yes. That's a Contra kind of, wasn't that kind of related?
Yeah,
No?
related. I mean, they took elements from like R-Type and other games of the genre, side-scrolling shooter. But I don't think that game. It was kind of a unique title. It was different. It just handled different, and it didn't go to any other systems. I don't think, did it? I mean, yeah, we've got a lot of shooters out there, but I played the snot out of that one on my NES. That just popped into my head. So.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think that one was called Salamander in Japan, and it was sort of part of the Gradius legacy, but not exactly.
Okay.
I got one. It just popped into my head too. Oh, this is one, and I don't know if you guys remember it, but I beat it in a sleepover play-a-thon with a friend of mine back in the day.
I know it's
I can't believe I haven't thought of it before. The Guardian Legend.
Oh, God damn it, Rob, you took mine. I swear to God.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. Well, we could go with the same answer, though. Because, I played it later on, though. I didn't play it when it first came out. But, that's an excellent game.
Oh, it was just, the vertical shooting levels interspersed with Zelda-style walk-around action-adventure just blew my mind. So, and the
That's
fact
a game
that ship turn... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, that's a game that gets mentioned a lot, and when people talk about, like, underrated NES gems that you should check out that a lot of people haven't played. That's definitely one that gets mentioned a lot. That's kind of how I found it. When I first got my NES, I was looking around at top 10 lists and everything, and that one got mentioned a lot. That's what made me pick it up.
Yeah. I think we rented it because we looked at the box a bunch of times, and it was around the time I was getting into the high fantasy movies like Deathstalker and Conan and Red Sonja. And so I saw this Guardian legend with this face on the cover, and I thought, oh, I have to try it.
You know what's funny? I thought Rob was actually going to say Karnov. I thought he was going to say Karnov too. I'm like,
except that Karnov did get pseudo sequels on.
It did, yeah, on the fighting game,
TurboGrafx style systems and Neo Geo. Mm-hmm. So
cool. Yeah, but not true, like a real true sequel to Karnov?
I believe there was a Karnov 2, yes.
No, there was a
Karnov 2 on PC. On one of the older PCs.
Wow,
there was, I believe it was Commodore 64 had it, but there was a Karnov 2. I know that for sure. Wow. I'm going to get corrected by it and lots of hate mail if I'm wrong, but there was a Karnov 2. I do know that.
That game infuriates me.
It's insane. It's insane.
I beat it once back in the day with no cheats, no Game Genie, no nothing. And I remember the dance of triumph when I finished the last boss. The controller was thrown to the floor like a spiked football, and I was just dancing around the room with my arms over my head.
That's awesome.
Props to you, my friend, for sure. Because that game...
No pictures, no autographs, please. No pictures.
So that means that Pete's got to pick another one now.
Oh, God. Damn, I had to think so hard, too, for that Guardian lineage.
No pressure, Pete.
Jeez. I'm looking at my collection now.
I really wish they made a Final Fantasy 2.
Yeah, right. Did Balloon Fight ever get released onto any other systems besides, any kind of port or anything?
Balloon Fights?
Yeah.
It's a great game. It's kind of like Joust, isn't it? If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
It's a good game. I don't think so.
I mean, I wouldn't really pick that because I'm not a big fan of it, but...
Damn.
Okay, now...
Yeah, I can't really think of a second one.
I've got a mildly entertaining question for after, so
sure.
we'll wait, though. Anything else besides Balloon Fight?
Nah, not... I mean, besides Fester's Quest...
So I put you on the spot there, for sure.
Yeah.
You know what?
Nice one, Johnny.
Fester's
Because a lot of my favorite NES games kind of already have sequels. That's the thing.
Yeah.
On other systems.
He didn't play any shit games.
Yeah, because here's the thing. I didn't... When I was playing the NES, it was mainly just the Mario and Zelda and stuff like that. But then when I got mine, I kind of, I stuck with the ones that were recommended, that were good titles. And I didn't happen to play any that were exclusive to the system that I own and play that come to mind right now.
All right, Rob, what's your question?
Well, I guess thinking about it, Jason and Pete both sort of answered it. But how we each actually got our own personal first, not the first one we played, but how we got the NES that we own. So I guess there's Gamester and Johnny to answer.
If I recall, it was Christmas of '87. I got mine, and it was probably one of my best Christmases to date. Just unwrapping that box, and I think I got the Duck Hunt and Mario box set, the action set. It was awesome.
You know what's screwed up, yeah. Gamester? You and I got our Nintendos in the same year on the same day back in '87.
Nice. But it's funny for me. I didn't get it at Christmas. I got it actually on my birthday, and it was funny how I got it. I was playing ice hockey because that's what we do up here in Canada. So I got out of a game, and my dad came and picked me up with my mom, and I had my hockey bag, and I was walking it to the back of the car to put it in the trunk of the car, and my dad's like, "No, I got that for you, son." I'm like, "No," I'm like, "What the heck are you doing?" I'm like, "I'll throw it in the back. It's fun." He's like, "No, let me do it for you." I'm like, "No," and we always get into this big argument over who's going to throw this hockey bag in the back of the car. And finally, he's like, "Fine, here are the keys." And I opened up the trunk, and there was an NES. It was awesome. So I kind of ruined my present, but it was very cool. But the only game that I got with it was Hogan's Alley. Isn't that weird? Like, you guys are all getting Duck Hunt, and I got Hogan's Alley. So I went home that night and was, blasting those gangsters, and it was still awesome. But the next day, I'm like asking friends, I'm like, "Can I borrow a game? Can I borrow a game? Can I borrow a game?" Type of thing. So that's when I finally got Super Mario Brothers, which was damn cool. But yeah, so I guess Rob.
Sorry, pulled out the mic.
Things like happen around here.
What is going on over there, guys?
Wow.
What are you guys doing in that room together?
I don't know. It's getting crazy. It's Thanksgiving. We're very thankful.
We're a little low fist fighting over the last turkey leg. Mine was also a Christmas story, amazingly. But it was a couple years after you guys, because it was the Christmas that Super Mario Brothers 2 came out. And I remember I'd been begging and begging and begging for a Nintendo. I got my parents to rent them every long weekend, every time I had a sleepover. And Christmas showed up, and all I wanted was that NES. Anything else, unnecessary. And I went down in the morning, and my family tradition was the big gift from Santa was unwrapped and left under the tree. So my brother and sister both had gifts there. But for me, there was a little piece of paper that said Rob, and there was a ribbon taped to it, trailing across the carpet out of the sitting room, through the dining room, and into the TV room. And I walked in, and it was hooked up and turned on and ready to go.
Oh,
And
nice.
Super Mario Brothers was in it. And just tears were glistening on my cheeks. I picked up the controller, started playing Mario, and that was it. I didn't want to leave the room. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want nothing. And my parents were calling like, "Oh, it's time to open presents and have breakfast." I said, "I don't need it. Don't care. Playing Mario. Don't want it."
It sounds like one of those moments when the light from the sky comes down, you hear the angels singing, everything kind of stops, like you see in the movies.
It definitely was, but then they made me come and sit down and open presents, and I'm like mad about this a little bit. I'm like, I want to play my Nintendo. I don't have time for any woolly socks and new pajamas, for God's sake. And then the first gift I opened was a brand new copy of Metroid, followed by Mario 2 and the official Nintendo Player's Guide.
Oh yes.
So I got
nice.
the Bible. The Nintendo Bible.
We'll have
and
we'll have to talk about the Bible later on, because that book is just legendary. You could have a copy of that, Gamester?
I do. It's classic.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Classic.
Okay.
So I have a question I want to pose to you guys.
Okay.
What Nintendo game? Okay, we know there's a lot of Nintendo games based on movies and TV shows. So my question to you guys is, what's the best Nintendo game based on a TV show or movie?
Oh,
Man.
jeez.
Yeah, you stumped us now. The show is over.
There's a lot of bad ones for sure, but there's some couple good ones as well.
Surprisingly, I'd have to say the Batman NES game.
Good choice. I like that.
Good choice.
That was a really solid platformer. Very good game.
Mm-hmm.
Good choice. Johnny?
I'm stumped, man. I'm thinking. Yeah.
All right, can I go with mine?
Sure.
Oh,
Okay,
I know
Willow.
what it is, but it's probably going to be the one that I'm going to pick. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say Willow.
Oh, interesting. Damn.
Yeah, Capcom. That's
Damn,
an RPG.
Yeah.
Great game. If you like Zelda, definitely check out Willow.
By
It's a classic
Capcom.
game by Capcom.
Yeah. Great game. Yeah.
I thought
gonna think
I
about
had you. I thought I had you, Gamester, because I just
you're-
thought of it.
You're gonna say DuckTales, right?
No.
Oh,
That
that's
okay.
should be. Somebody should say that.
You know what?
Okay.
We're just getting stumped on it. Of course, there's so many good ones out there. Oh,
Well,
boy.
I got one. The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, nice.
That was on the
Nice.
Super NES, wasn't it?
No, that
Is
was
that
on
on
the
the NES?
no, that was on the NES.
I never played that.
I don't remember that one at all.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you had the Tauntaun and
it was.
yeah,
It came out like late in the game, and it's really rare to find, but it's
Wow.
actually worth quite a bit of money still. It's a great game.
yeah. That was back in the day when JVC was making the Star Wars games. I think LucasArts was involved, but JVC was publisher of that.
That's really neat.
Yeah, for sure.
Damn.
Yeah. I'll have to come back with mine later on. I'm stumped.
Pete, how
I
about
didn't
you?
play too much of it, but what about Tiny Toon Adventures?
Oh yeah, I played the
Oh,
crap out
yeah.
of that game. That's a great
Yeah.
platformer.
yeah.
All the Disney platformers were classic, like Capcom. I mean, you had DuckTales, Chip and Dale, Rescue Rangers.
Yeah, those were all good games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now, as long as you're going with things that appeared on television but weren't shows, Capcom's Yo Noid wasn't bad either.
Oh yeah, nice one, Rob.
That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Little
nice one.
Domino's Pizza advertising placement there.
I used to rent that all the time until I finally said, you know what, I just need to buy this dumb game, and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't he have like a yo-yo? Wasn't it his weapon as a yo-yo?
I think he had a yo-yo and a pogo stick, strangely, for some
Yeah.
reason.
That's right. Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
pogo stick with like the 10-pound weight on the bottom up that he used to flatten your pizza.
Yeah, it was all about mascots back then, wasn't it? So, of course, they had,
oddly
like,
enough, I always ate Pizza Hut, but
yeah, that's nice. Too expensive.
It's tough.
Oh, that is a tough question.
I'm stumped. I have no answer right now. I'd rather say nothing than something dumb.
all right. Well, then, we can come back to it. You can just chime in whenever you got it. I got something here. So, okay, guys. So we all had the NES. We were playing that, loving it, having a good time, right? Well, it was years down the road when Nintendo decided to redesign it and make the NES 101 the top loader.
Mm.
Did you guys ever pick that up? Did you get it when it came out, or did you wait, or what are some of your stories about the top loader and the infamous and oh so comfortable dog bone controller?
You know what? I never bought one. I was never interested.
No, me
I had
either.
a friend that had one, and I can't use the dog bone.
Yeah.
I need to have those pointy corners digging into my hands, otherwise I can't play it.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's weird.
I kind of agree with Rob. I just always was so like, I just love the design of the old one. I didn't really need to go with a newer version. The old one never failed on me, actually.
I'm still playing the one I got for Christmas all those years
Can you
ago.
believe it? Rob's still playing the NES he got for Christmas 25 years ago. Unbelievable. Wow.
I used to open it every year, service it, clean the contacts, bend the pins back down, the whole nine, because I love
That's
it.
awesome. You got the original one you had back then.
That is awesome. That's awesome.
Wow.
You know, Jason, to answer your question, though, I'm not a big fan of the top loader. I mean, granted, the defect rate is a lot better than the original. However, it didn't have the AV cables. It had only RF out.
Totally.
So
Totally.
that was kind of a big disappointment in my book. But I do like the design. I kind of disagree with Rob. I like the dog bone controllers. I like the way they feel. So
Now, the defect rate was lower because they used the line cart adapter instead of the pin adapter that the front loader had, and because they removed the lockout chip from the top loader. So that some of the issues like that flashing screen you used to get could not happen without that chip inherent in the hardware. So that's the two major reasons why it didn't have the problems. But yeah, without the AV out, it just didn't look as nice.
Yeah, I totally agree. I like the console. When I play my NES games today, it's what I use. I like the dog bone, but you know what? I like them both. I like both styles of controllers. I think it's just kind of the old school square. You know, it's a feeling that you just when that's in your hands. I know this sounds weird, but when that controller is in your hands, and I know it's just a rectangle, but it feels right. You know, like. The A and B, and then the D-pad is just like your thumbs line right up. I know I'm sounding weird and all, but it's just, I don't know. There's a connection there for sure. But I think the dog bone's comfortable, and I think it feels good. Yeah, I like it too. The AV out kills me. I really wish that they would have. I mean, you think if you're going to redesign it and like do things quote unquote better or upgrade them, why would you leave that out? I mean, that just seems like a oversight there. That's ridiculous, but
that's cutting corners. I think cutting costs.
Yeah, and of course, I mean they got rid of the lockout chip, like Rob was talking about. So, like, they obviously were thinking at this point in the game, people aren't really. Maybe they're going to stop making games for the console, and it's not really a big issue, you know. So, yeah, cutting corners for sure.
That's another thing we should probably talk about later on is about the lockout chip and the whole kind of. Nintendo had really strict regulations for third-party games. You know, they only allowed like 10 per year or something like that, wasn't it?
Well, that was to avoid what happened that caused the video game crash of '83. As we said, they wanted to oversee so that you didn't get E.T. on the Atari happening ever again, and thank God for that.
You know what else Nintendo had on top of that? They also had this really strict policy where they would not allow first-party games, the games they created, to be released back to back. They gave it had to be I think it was like a 3-month grace period. Gosh, and I don't know if they still have that today, but I do know that they had that policy all the way up through the Nintendo 64's life.
Sometimes I wish they could stick with only 3 months. How long did we wait for a new Zelda and a new Mario?
Yeah, forever.
It's definitely not anymore today because we got a Donkey Kong Country game and a Kirby game coming out.
Yeah,
in a matter
at the same
of weeks.
time, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Well,
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
And that's also to make up for last year's game show performances where they basically spit in the face of every hardcore gamer and said, we don't need you anymore. We make games for the cash market. And then learned that was wrong.
I thought I got disconnected. I mean, you guys are still there.
So, I got a question for you guys. Did you guys ever import any games for your NES?
No.
Yeah. You know what? My mom went. Yeah, my mom went to Hong Kong one year, and she came back with a Famicom cart with 82 games in one.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had to use the adapter for it. It was pretty epic.
That's wild. What about Jason? Nothing?
No, I never did, man. Never.
I did with one game, Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah.
And I remember I walked into a little store, and this is way before it came out over here. And I bought it with my birthday money. God, what year would that have been? Was that 89? 88, 89? I think it's somewhere in there. 80, yeah. But no, anyway, so I brought this thing home. It cost me $100 back then, which was a lot of money, for this adapter and a copy of the game. And I loved it. I had so much fun, but guess what it would do every once in a while? Because the adapter that allowed it to play on your system, it would just, I don't know if there was some connection problem, but it would freeze. So I would get all the way to the last world, last boss, and it froze. Like dead freeze, like everything froze. I'm like, oh my God. So I always had to work past that, but I got to play Super Mario Bros. 3 before anybody. It made me quite popular in my neighborhood. In fact, I actually used to make this one kid pay to come over to my house.
Oh, nice. It's all about the dollar bill, y'all.
But yeah, no, I definitely remember it made me quite popular in the neighborhood. And I remember one guy would come over to my house to play it, and he'd actually had to pay me to play it. I was such a bastard back then. I think it was like $3 was my asking price to come over for the afternoon and play. But it was quite entertaining, actually.
So you had your own arcade in your house that you were charging people to play games. Brilliant.
Well, yeah, just to play import games, to play the new Mario Brothers before it came over here was a huge big deal. So it was funny. And I think I started making him, I think it was, I always asked for like a Pepsi, a Diet Pepsi, a Crispy Crunch, and dill pickle chips. And he could enter my house. He could actually come in if he brought those things for me. And then I'd beat him up and I'd take his.
Take his money and eat his food.
Yeah, it was funny.
I would ask for ketchup flavored chips.
Oh, I know you're a big
would.
fan of those. You know, that's just too good. That's awesome.
Okay, so guys, anything else you guys want to add about the Nintendo before we go on to the questions?
It fucking rocked. It's part of our childhood. It's a classic system.
A pioneering system.
25 years ago, Nintendo did the world a grand service, and every day of my life, I thank them for it.
Well said. I like that.
And, for those who are just getting into gaming, this is definitely a system I would recommend picking up. Even if you're still young, you haven't played Nintendo, do yourself a favor, do yourself justice, and pick up the Nintendo Entertainment System. And guys, any games you would recommend for the Nintendo Entertainment System? I know we already talked about a lot of them, but if you were to pick one game to get, what would it be?
Mario 3.
Yeah, if you want role-playing games, probably Crystalis or Zelda or Dragon Warrior 4.
If you want to go for a good, solid platformer that's not Mega Man, honestly, the original Castlevania.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
And I still think Kirby's Adventure is probably one of my top personal.
That was a good one.
There's a lot of
I would actually also Dr. Mario. That's one of the classics.
Oh, and even Tetris too. I mean, you can say Tetris along with that. And, there's a lot of good sport games too. We don't really touch about any sport games, but I like Bases Loaded a lot.
Bases Loaded good.
The fact that you could charge a mound was
Baseball Stars.
Baseball
Remember that
Star.
one?
Yeah, that's an SNK title. Yeah, that was classic. Epic game.
Don't forget for us Canadian boys, Blades of Steel.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Or even the original ice hockey.
Yeah.
My thumbs got so sore playing that game for hours. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much. I think we pretty much hit everything we want to talk about for the Nintendo.
One last thing I wanted to add too is don't overpay for an NES. Like if you go into one of those video game stores today that's not say a mom and pop game store, they're going to be overcharging for an NES. So my advice is, more than any other system, you find NES is the most at yard sales now. So hit up a yard sale, you can probably definitely get a system with some games for like a couple of bucks if you're lucky. Don't pay more than $20 for a system that's working. That's my advice.
And if you ever come across at a yard sale, stadium events, just buy it and give me a call. Work something out.
We'll do some trades.
We'll do some trades. It's going to be on eBay. I'm going to just own up to it.
You can get a Nintendo with a lot of games on eBay for fairly cheap.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay, guys, here's the part of the show where we talk about games we've been playing recently. And because RobMan is our guest on the show tonight, I thought I'd ask him first, what games have you been playing recently, Rob?
As a matter of fact, there are one or two that I squeeze in and amongst all the time with the wee one and the wife and the work. Number one on the PlayStation 2, Rogue Galaxy. I am still trying to get that one finished. It's an amazing game by Level 5. Just long story short, cel-shaded, great graphics, fantastic story, sci-fi, and I've been putting it down and picking it up for years, but I'm going to finish it. So there's that. And the other one is...
You're right at the end of that too, right?
Yeah, I'm right at the end now. Yeah. And the other one is Chrono Trigger on the DS.
Nice.
So, again, people who listen to this already know what it is, so I won't go on, but I've been playing a lot of those and loving it.
But you've also been playing Castlevania.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I did pick up the new Lords of Shadows, and honestly, my brains were splattered on the back wall by how fanatically awesome this game is. It's just mind-blowingly awesome follow-up for the Castlevania series. I know there's a lot of sort of back and forth about...
What would you say to people who are saying like it's like God of War? Like, of course it's inspired by that, but what's your take on that?
Okay, first and foremost, everyone needs to understand that video games are a business. Okay, they're an art form, but they're a business. What's the top-selling action game right now? God of War. So where do you draw your inspiration? From the top-selling action game right now. But if you can put your own flavor in it and your own look and sound to it, then you've made something wonderful. You're using what works in your own way. So yeah, there is some God of War to it, but there's so much that's Castlevania that is pure, the gothic look, the weapon, the music, the mastery, the beauty of it. So I mean they've changed and they've borrowed, but I think they've done their own thing as well, and it turned out great.
Nice. Yeah, I got to pick that game up still. So, Gamester, what have you been playing recently?
I haven't been playing many games, to be quite honest with you guys. I've been playing Typing of the Dead, which I just did a review on.
I saw that, yeah. I was watching that.
And a really fun kind of House of the Dead spin. Kind of one of the most unique games I think I've ever played, as far as just gameplay goes. And the fact that you have to type to kill zombies, like who thinks of this stuff is amazing. But that's kind of the main game I've been playing. Nice. And to be honest with you, that's pretty much it. I've been out of town for work, so I haven't had too much time to play many games, but that was the main one this week. So kind of short and sweet. Jason, nice. How about you, buddy?
Okay, I've been playing still, again, guys, I've been playing Bad Company 2. I want to stress this. This is a fantastic game. I've been playing it online with my cousin. I'm playing it on the PC, so if anyone out there is playing it on the PC, feel free to, let me know. Maybe we can hook up, do some rounds, squad up. Also, I've been playing Excitebots on the Wii. You guys play Excitebots ever?
No. What's that?
I have it. I still got to play it. I heard it's good.
Oh my goodness. If you guys liked Excite Truck, which was a launch title for the Wii, I loved it. I lost months and months playing that game. Fantastic racing game. Very highly addictive, too. But Excitebots did everything that Excite Truck didn't. The handling has been reworked. It's definitely quicker. It's sharper. I think everything's a bit more colorful. But not only that, it now features online play. So you can hang out with your buddies and play, or just do random matchmaking. So I'm playing that on the Wii, and again, if anyone out there is playing Excitebots on the Wii online, hit me up on my channels. All my contact info for the Wii there. Put me in. Let's play sometime. It's a great game. Those are the two that this week that I've been playing. What about you, Pete?
I've been pretty busy considering I went to Comic-Con this past weekend for Friday and Sunday. So I actually just got back yesterday from that as well. But I did get a chance to play a couple of games at Comic-Con. They had the Connect there and everything, but honestly, I just skipped over that. I wasn't going to wait online to embarrass myself in front of a couple hundred people. But I did wait in line to play Sonic Colors for a whole 2 or 3 minutes. And I was actually pretty impressed with it. It was super, super fast. Like, it was funny because the kid behind me was like trying to explain to me like what Sonic games were about, just because I asked, okay, how do I do this here? Because it like I got stuck in a certain part because I didn't expect Sonic to have to run so damn fast, because it's been a while since I played a Sonic game as fast as this one. But I really enjoyed it. I think this is definitely going to be a Sonic game to look out for. Even though Sonic 4 actually is coming out, it's on the iPhone right now. Came out on the 7th. It was released on the WiiWare today. It gets released on PlayStation Network tomorrow, which is Tuesday. And it comes out on Xbox Live Arcade, which is Wednesday. So I'll definitely have impressions for that on the next show. What else did I get to try? I've been playing more Castlevania as well. Rob, how far are you into that game in terms of, like, no spoilers, but about where are you up to?
I finished the first chapter, and since that's what's been killing my Rogue Galaxy experience, is something new comes out and I put it aside again for a year. I played the first chapter the day it came out. I went, that's lovely. I'll be right back. And that's all I've done.
I'm about... Now, in terms of first chapter, you mean like the first map that they show on the screen and you defeat the first sort of the golem boss or whatever it is? The ice giant?
I have finished the first Titan. Okay.
I'm about on the almost to the end of the second chapter, and I have to agree, it's definitely a really, really great game. And what I found out that was really interesting is that this game didn't even originate. It wasn't originally going to be a Castlevania game. It was originally just going to be called Lords of Shadow, and they kind of decided later on to just tack on the Castlevania name and kind of just rework some of the, I guess the characters in the game a little bit and call it a Castlevania game. So, I don't know how to feel about that, but honestly, actually, it was. Go ahead.
They did that actually for a reason, and that was because they were very nervous about the response they would get, and they didn't want to attach such a hallowed name to it until they were sure there would be positive hype. So they were developing it as Castlevania, but they didn't attach the name to it in case it was a stinker, and they could go, "Oh, well, that was just something we were working on,but it's not really
that's
all that
interesting.
great."
That's pretty funny, actually.
They should call it Other C or something. Castlevania Other C.
Yeah, there you go.
But isn't that kind of bad, though, that, like, they don't have the confidence behind their game? I mean, it turned out to be a great game, in my opinion, though.
Imagine it didn't catch on. Castlevania is just destroyed. You know what the fanboys would be saying? My God, they've ruined it. I'm never playing another Castlevania game again.
That's kind of how a lot of them are responding right now to this game.
Wow, that's exactly. And, so, like, I guess they were nervous. They wanted to kind of hold up. And they said, the last thing they said, no, let's put our stamp of approval on it. And, hey, you know what? If anybody's enjoying the game, isn't that what it's supposed to be like? If you don't like it, don't play it and wait for the next one. It's not going to kill you. It's not the end of the world.
Oh, yeah, they're already working on the sequel to it. So hopefully, I honestly don't think they're going to really listen to a lot of the criticisms. I don't think they're going to make it, Metroidvania, like roaming around with, like sort of how Symphony of the Night was. I don't think they're going to do that to it. I think they're going to kind of keep it along the same lines as this one, just kind of fix the camera on it a little bit, because that's probably the main problem with is the camera when it comes to the platforming. Especially I found as the game goes on, there's a lot more platforming to it, and that's probably the weakest point of the game. I mean, it's not terrible, but I have had my fair share of cheap deaths due to some bad platforming in it. But everything else about it is great. Like I said before, if they're going to copy an action game to copy off of, like Rob said, you might as well copy off of the best-selling one that's out there right now, God of War. So I also did get a chance to very, very, very briefly play Golden Sun Dark Dawn on the DS. Nintendo had a booth set up there, and I mainly just played it so I can get one of the free T-shirts. But I played the adventure mode demo of it. It took me a couple of minutes, and all it basically was a demo of some of the puzzle solving in it and using the touchscreen. I'm just looking forward to it more for the battles, see how that turns out. I mean, honestly, I'll be honest, I'm actually not even anticipating Dark Dawn as much as I thought I would be. I mentioned that on one of the other podcasts, but I don't know, the thing that always drew me to the original Golden Sun games were the amazing battles, and if that's kind of worn thin over time because back then the battles looked amazing on the Game Boy Advance. I wasn't a huge fan of the puzzle solving in the original Golden Sun games. So they also did have Kirby's Epic Yarn and Donkey Kong Country Returns on display to play, but I actually didn't play them. I didn't feel like waiting online for a game that's coming out, next week. So both of those games, Kirby's coming out on the 17th and Donkey Kong is coming out. Does anybody know? That's sometime very soon, right?
I don't know.
I got it.
It's coming out
So soon, yeah.
this month.
It's sometime in October. I forget the exact date, but I'm like, you know what? I'll just wait. I'll play the game at home right from the beginning.
Game I'm probably going to pick up next is probably NBA Jam. I know that just came out last week for the Wii.
I'm gonna get it too for sure.
Yeah.
It doesn't no online play though, right?
I don't believe so. But
Hey, Gamester, you should make a video with Jason playing it again. That'd be awesome.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Good call.
Definitely. Good call on that.
Yeah.
So, Pete, I was going to ask you, how'd you like Comic-Con though? Was it you had a good time there? Was it New York?
Oh yeah. It was awesome. New York Comic Con. This was my first Comic Con I've ever went to, and I got a couple of cool things there. For the most part, on Friday when I went, I was there for 7 hours, and I mainly just walked around and kind of just looked at a lot of the booths. I didn't really pay too much attention to, watching the game displays. Like when I went back on Friday, I spent a good 45 minutes to an hour just standing there watching people play Marvel vs. Capcom 3. They kind of had this cool live thing going on with, if you win 5 matches in a row, you get like a prize pack. And it was a lot of fun to watch that, kind of watch how the pros played, because I sure as hell can't play like those guys. And it was just interesting to, watch the crowd reactions. And I actually did. Here's what happened. There was a signing with Iwafune, Mega Man. Yeah,
actually, I have a quick note about that. That's kind of cool. Sorry to jump in there, but
yeah, go ahead.
One of the fans of the show was going to be there. That's on my Facebook page.
He's a young kid. I want to dig up his name right now because I definitely want to say something about him.
Jamisu. His first name is, I'm probably butchering that, but Jamisu is his first name, and I think he's Robohead is his YouTube channel. But he went there, and I asked him. He told me he was going to meet Inafune, all excited, and then I asked him, look, could you maybe print out the 8-bit RobMan picture I did that says RobMan in Japanese and get him to sign it? And dear God, but he did.
Wow.
So not only, and he read it, like Inafune looked at it and said, RobMan, and looked kind of interested, and then signed it. So not only do I have a one-of-a-kind RobMan signed print by Inafune-san, but he's also now acknowledged that I exist.
Nice, man.
That's awesome.
Life is complete. I can die tomorrow a happy man.
Man, he wants to make another series called RobMan. How sweet would that be? A spin-off series.
I would pass out and die of shock and joy.
But I did get online. Yeah, no problem. I was online waiting to, because they had some posters there that you can get signed by him. And in the process of waiting in line, unfortunately, they did switch him out for, I forget his name, but the producer of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, they kind of switched him in instead. So I did get a signed poster of Marvel vs. Capcom 3 from the producer, which was pretty cool.
I did
have to wait in line. Yeah, I was in line for 45 minutes, but hell, that's
cool. That's so worth it though, right?
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. That's good.
What other guests they have there, Pete?
Oh, geez. In terms of gaming, they had the producer for Okami Den on the DS. I was going to wait in line for that, but I was just not there during those times. Honestly, though, most of the stuff was just kind of more for the Marvel guests and everything. There really weren't too many guests there for video games. And I'll be honest, I'm not in the comics at all. Hey, who goes to Comic-Con and you're not in the comics? Well, I do, because there was a lot of stuff there besides comic stuff. They actually merged the New York Anime Convention as well into the same exact place on the same exact days. So that place was jam-packed. One side was Comic-Con, and then one side was the New York Anime Convention. So it was pretty crazy there. Mainly it was just fun walking around looking at all the costumes and all the stuff on display. They had I finally saw that Michael Jackson game being played. It looks just like Dance Central from what people were playing with it. Just with Michael Jackson music. And yeah, just looking around, I bought some stuff. I did actually there was a booth there with some people selling some random video game stuff. I got a Neo Geo CDZ for $40.
Oh, nice.
Which I thought was a pretty decent deal.
Oh, that's a great steal, man. Yeah.
Yeah, so I fortunately haven't been able to test it because I don't have any games for it, but I just plugged it into the wall and it does turn on. So happy about that. Because doesn't that normally go Gamester? I think Johnny said about $80, but I looked on eBay. They go more than that.
80 or $100.
CDZ is now we're looking at $120 or more.
Yeah, that's why I saw it there. Because they had a couple of systems laid out on the table, and all of them had prices except for the CDZ. The CDZ had I'm thinking no one bought it because they did have a slime on top of the CDZ that said not for sale. So some
what
people
kind of slime was that? What kind of slime was
like
that?
a plastic slime. I don't know, some plastic slime figure. I don't know why
someone's pissed right now because their CDZ just got sold.
Yeah.
But well, the guy, I think the main guy that was at the booth, he told me, $40 for it. I was like, $40? I knew the system went for much more than that. Yeah. So I was happy. Hopefully it works. Because I'll get some games for it and test it out. But because at one time I was thinking about getting the Neo Geo CD, and the load times are apparently atrocious. And I was gonna get the CDZ, but it was quite a bit more than the regular CD.
Just to clarify for those listeners who weren't really familiar with the CDZ, it was a system released by Neo Geo, and it had faster load times. And but the one thing about that system you have to be careful with, Pete. It does have overheating issues, so make sure that you don't put it into like an area that's going to be. It's got to get some airflow to it.
Right. That's good to know.
Yeah. So don't put it into.
Do you know, Gamester? Can you use AES joystick controllers on that, or is it specific controller inputs? You can use.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And the games, I think it's region free too. I think you can play any games you want, as far as North American release or Japanese.
Awesome.
I don't think there's a
I'm
reason.
finally happy to have that thing.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's great find for sure. And the load times are faster. I wouldn't say like significantly faster, but it is faster than the original CD system. It's pretty slow. So
yeah, some of the load times for like the fighting games were like a minute or something like that.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But other than that, though, Comic-Con was pretty awesome. I'm definitely going to go back next year. The other stuff that I picked up a couple of anime movies. It's nothing crazy. I got a Sonic wall clock, and that's about all I got. Oh, and some shirts, of course. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean,
did you take video?
It was kind of a last minute thing. It was like, because I was searching, there was a Lord of the Rings concert for like, you can watch the Two Towers with a full orchestra kind of playing the music in Radio City Music Hall. I was going to go to that, but then I found out that Comic-Con was happening the same weekend. I'm like, wow, I kind of want to go to Comic-Con instead. So it was kind of a very last minute decision.
That's great.
Yeah.
Did you take video?
Oh, well, here's the thing. I went on Friday. I had my camera with me, and I took very little footage because I was kind of like, I don't know, I just kind of wanted to look around. I didn't really feel like recording every single little thing. But when I went back on Sunday, I recorded like an hour's worth of stuff. So I'll probably slap together a couple of videos for that. It's just going to take a while to edit together.
Didn't you say you got recognized down there too by some guy?
Oh, yeah, that's right. On Friday, I got recognized by somebody. He didn't give me his name. It was kind of really just a quick pass by thing. He kind of recognized me. And then on Sunday, I got recognized by two people. The funny thing is, when I was waiting in line for the signing, all of a sudden I'm standing in line, and I look behind me for just a second just to kind of see how the line looked. And all of a sudden I hear, oh my God. I'm like, oh, come on, tell me someone's saying that, because I turned around and I see this guy kind of like peering at me from between a couple of people. And he's like just staring at me. And then he says, oh my God, again. He's like, you're Pete Dorr. I'm like, hey, yeah, what's up? So
that's cool.
I told him to send me a message on YouTube, and he wanted a picture taken with me, so he can get a picture. And another person recognized me too, and he was with his friends, and one of his friends wanted to buy some like hentai or something like that, and he asked me if I was 18 or older.
Hentai!
I'm like, no thanks, and kind of just moved on from there.
You know what I was thinking about? It'd be really funny, Pete. You'd be over there like trying out Connect. You talked about you didn't want to try it, but say you did. You're over there like trying to figure it out, and like it's not happening for you. You're like, how does this thing work? And there's people in the back. Who's that dumbass up there? And then everyone's, oh shit, it's Pete Dorr.
It was awesome. Somebody got like video of you and would do remixes of it. You can imagine.
Christ.
The next Star Wars kid, yeah. But I mean, I would have waited in line for the Connect, but I don't see myself buying that thing until much later on anyway. So even if I did like it, no games that would interest me. So yeah, I passed up on that. But there was so many people there, and believe it or not, Sunday was more crowded than Friday. The line for this thing wrapped outside of the building. Like they had it going through the parking lot, the streets. It was luckily it went fast, but God, it was crazy.
It's great.
And then just real fast, throw it out there for anybody that might have went on Sunday. I did go to the X Japan concert afterwards, which was awesome. It's a Japanese band that's been around since the 80s, I believe, and I've been listening to them for a couple of years, and this was their first time in North America. And the thing that's kind of relates a little bit to Comic-Con is the drummer Yoshiki or Yoshike, whatever his name is. A lot of people pronounce it differently, but he's doing a motion comic with Stan Lee. So
wow, that's cool.
Yeah, this drummer from this Japanese band that's kind of just starting to get popular in North America now, did their first North American tour. He's collaborating with Stan Lee. So
awesome.
If that works out for them, I'm sure you guys will be hearing a lot more about X Japan, that's for sure.
Cool.
So yeah, that's about all I've been playing. I just been busy with that. Haven't had much time to play anything at home besides Castlevania a little bit. So should have kept that a little shorter, but how about you, Johnny? What have you been playing?
It's funny. It's actually it's about what I'm going to play. I mean, it's actually about what I'm going to finish because I've been mentioning it on the show for forever. But this weekend, I will officially be finishing Dragon Quest IX. So it will be coming to a close. Yeah, basically, I'm on the last little bit of the game, and the girl I'm seeing, she's on the last little bit of the game. So we're gonna get together on the weekend, and we're gonna finish this fucker. It's gonna finally have an end to it. So one game will be completed, and I'm still working on the last boss and front mission. I don't know why front mission evolved. It's driving me crazy. I don't know if anybody else is out there playing front mission evolved. I think one other player somewhere. Somebody somewhere, send me a message. Tell me how to be that that last boss. I'm having a hell of a time. The game back on, it's not really helping me out too much. So, that's about it for, I guess, games we've been playing. And this brings us to the part of the podcast where we answer people's questions. And you can leave us a question in the forum, and we'll always go in there and definitely answer all the questions. I know we definitely read them. So I think we all have a question this week. And Pete, what is your question?
All right, so my question is from Nick Knack. He says, since many video game franchises are getting reboots such as Devil May Cry, Medal of Honor, and Mortal Kombat, what gaming franchises would you like to see get a reboot? And we actually discussed this really briefly, but this is such like a great topic that we actually are thinking about turning this into an entire episode where we kind of talk about some games and franchises that we'd love to see kind of rebooted and brought back. So
Strider.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah, we'll save that for another episode. Yeah, I think that'll make a great episode. So how about you, Gamester? What questions did you pick out?
Mine is from Nostalgia Dan. And let me find it here. Okay. So he is
actually John. Move closer to your mic a little bit. It's coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I had to read I'm moving mics here, but Nostalgic Dan. This is from Nostalgic Dan, and he asks, "I'm a young collector from Phoenix. Fellow Phoenician. I have hundreds of games and 10 systems. I've been looking into purchasing a Sega system since I don't own a Sega system, and I was wondering what's the best Sega system out there to get first based on games and overall quality. Help a young collector grow. Daniel." So my answer to that would be I have two, and I'll probably start with the Genesis and definitely the Dreamcast. I think those are both great games for both. The Dreamcast is kind of an overlooked system. I think more people are starting to appreciate it, but Dreamcast is classic. It's probably one of my favorite systems. So how about you, Jason?
Yeah, for sure. I would have to say Genesis. I mean, just jump right in and get a Genesis. There's a huge catalog of games. And I mean, you get all of that legacy and so many just awesome titles, really. I would say Genesis for sure. What about you, Johnny?
I think me and Rob would probably answer the same. Say definitely the Dreamcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I would go Genesis.
Yeah.
Strangely, I would say Genesis just because there's...
You know what? Yeah, I agree. We've got Phantasy Star 2, 3, 4. We got all the RPGs.
Beyond Oasis.
Yeah, if we want to go... Just RPGs alone is amazing. Never mind. Yeah, okay. Definitely. Yeah, Streets of Rage, Revenge of Shinobi. What are we talking about? Of course it's a Genesis. Jeez. Okay,
I thought you were going to say 32X for a second. So
32X is the best Sega system ever. Good day.
I love my Dreamcast, though. There's some arcade ports on there like no one's business.
for the hardcore Sega fan, a Dreamcast is an absolute must. But for the first little dibble of the toe into the cold, limpid pool of Sega love, I would say that the Dreamcast might be, a little more hardcore Sega. Whereas the library on the Genesis just really covered every human base.
That's kind of good. Yeah,
That's a good way of summing it up. Agreed.
Sure.
Pete?
Well, you guys already basically covered it, but maybe a little further down the line, I would recommend still picking up a Saturn. Only just there's a couple of titles on there that you just have to play, like Nights into Dreams, the Panzer Dragoon 1-2 Saga, if you can get your hands on it. A couple of little gems like Clockwork Knight. Also, the RPGs on there, they're a little expensive and a little hard to get. But, Johnny, you can probably say, I haven't played it, but Guardian.
Just like Magic Knight Rare, through like what other RPGs?
Legend of Oasis, the Fallout to Beyond Oasis, was a fantastic Saturn action RPG. Also, Shining Wisdom, great Zelda-style one on the Saturn.
Oh, yeah.
Also, Saturn Bomberman on the Saturn. If you can get a hold of a multi-tap, I think it supports up to 8 or 10 players or something like that. It's crazy. It's more than the Xbox Live version of Bomberman Live. But yeah, I would say after you've picked up a Dreamcast and a Genesis, the Saturn would be the next best step. What do you guys think about the Sega CD though? Like, should they really pursue it?
Okay. It's
Yeah,
okay.
I think there's a place for it for sure.
Yeah. The games like Sonic CD are probably one of my favorite Sonic games.
Lunar. Popple Mail,
yeah.
Snatcher.
Oh, yes.
So there's a few gems in there, but there's a lot of rough too.
Oh,
Night Trap.
Night Trap, yeah.
Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
As a kid, I loved Night Trap.
I used to sneak away to play that game.
It's funny.
Okay.
So what about you, Jason?
I have a question from Kronos USA. He says, in your opinion, what's the best looking console? And that can be read as a few different ways. But what I think you're asking is physically, like the appearance of the console itself. That's a tough one. I mean, there's a lot of consoles, Gosh. And for me,
What would you say, Jason? That's a tough one.
It really is. And I've been thinking about this the entire episode, and I still can't really nail it down. You know what? I really like, and I know I guess it can be kind of bland, but I really like the look of the Model 2 Super Nintendo, the Super Nintendo Slim.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's small. It's smaller than a Dreamcast. I'm looking at it right now. Or it looks almost the same. It's shorter.
Smaller.
It's shorter.
Yeah.
It's not as tall. I don't know. But then again, the 64 has all those beautiful curves, and I've always enjoyed the lines on that one. It's tough. Probably those two. I don't know. Probably the Super NES. I'll go with that.
I love
Slim.
curves.
The Super NES Slim. The what?
I was saying I love curves.
Yeah. Oh, we're talking about systems.
Oh,
Okay.
systems?
Oh,
I'm
well,
sorry. I thought we were on
yeah,
different
well,
topics. Okay. My mistake.
No, it's all good. What about you, Gamester? What do you got?
It's hard to pick, but I would have to probably go with, and not many people know about the system. It's a PC Engine Shuttle, and a really unique. I know Johnny, you own one as well.
How dare you steal my answer?
Did I steal it?
No, it's one of my answers.
It just looks. I just like the look of it. Just looks like something out of Star Trek. It looks like a shuttle out of Star Trek, and the controllers are really cool looking. I know, Johnny, you did a review on it, or you did an unboxing of one, where people can go to your channel and check it out. And it's a really cool looking system. I think they did a good job designing. I don't think it's compatible with the PC Engine or CD, is it?
No, it's not.
Yeah, there's no attachment
That's why
to
it
it.
died off. They made it for the younger audience, and it kind of just bombed because everybody wanted to hook a CD unit up, and they couldn't. So, and it kind of made it a bit rare at the time. So, to get one box now is actually quite expensive.
Yeah. How about you, Johnny? What was yours?
Well, you know what? It's funny. I had like 3 come to mind. Cosmetically, I think the PC Engine Shuttle is a lot of fun. I'll say the weirdest looking system has got to be the Super Graphics. That is, it's a weird system. And so many people have always because I did a review on that, and everybody comments like, "What a weird looking machine." That's the number one comment I get on that, and that's probably the weirdest machine. But here's my answer, and I've thought about it since you asked. It's got to be the Super Famicom. I love that. I love
Now
it.
you stole mine.
And I stole Rob.
You stole mine.
You know what it was? It's like I remember looking in video game magazines and seeing the new Nintendo, and looking at just the controllers, the colored, multicolored buttons. It just looked like so much fun. It looked like fun. I can't. It may sound unusual, but console just looked like fun, and I was so jealous about it. And then when we got the Super Nintendo, I was like, well, this isn't, why did they change the look of it? And we got used to it and we liked it, obviously, but I always loved the look of the Super Famicom. It was my favorite thing. Sorry, Rob. I'm taking yours.
Damn.
What would you pick then, Rob? What would you say? Like, you'd probably say the same, maybe?
Well, yeah, for very similar reasons. When the Super Famicom first launched, there was a game shop near us called Willow Video Games.
Oh, yeah.
That used to get systems shipped to them overnight after Japan launch day. I personally hadn't seen pictures of it in magazines or anything else.
Yeah.
So I went and rented it with a friend of mine for a sleepover with Mario. Yeah. And the second we opened that big black suitcase they used to give you with the machine in it, there was this gorgeous, slightly rounded edges, the very sleek design, the controller with four face buttons and two shoulders with the four colors. Yeah. And I fell in love with that design. The buttons look like little candies. I wanted to friggin' eat them right off the front of it.
I know. I love the design.
And then when the North American one came out, and I was like, wow, look at this large, chunky, boxy.
Yeah, it just seemed like a weird design after seeing that one.
Just like light and dark purple buttons and it didn't have the pop and that kind of youthful charm, we'll call it.
I don't know. I know exactly what you mean.
So I'm afraid that my answer is the same as Johnny's. It's the Super Famicom.
Yeah. What would you say, Pete? What do you say?
I kind of get two different answers because one of them, it might be a little bit hard to argue, but I'll say my overall favorite would probably have to be the Vectrix. I just love the whole idea of having that vertical screen built into the console itself. Like the first time I ever saw one, I was like, damn, that is such an awesome console design. And it took me a while to get one, but I'm so happy I finally have a Vectrix. I love that thing. But if I had to pick like an actual console that would hook up to a TV, I'd probably go with the Dreamcast, only because I think in terms of design, it's almost a perfect design for a console. Like it's slim, it's compact, it's got some gray with the white. I don't know, the color scheme is very simple, but it's also like you guys were saying, the curves on it. It's not exactly square. Like if you view it top down, it looks like a box. But if you look at it from like the sides and front view, it's got like very, very subtle curves to it and everything. I don't know. I think it's just really, really well designed. And I think that the orange light on it just kind of tops it off. So I'd have to go with the Dreamcast for mine.
I like the loading sound when you first turn it on, the high-pitched noise you hear.
Mm-hmm.
It just throws back memories.
Yeah, that, and also, I don't think anybody will ever forget the loud humming noise of whatever the hell was going on in that system. I guess what actually makes that noise when you turn on a Dreamcast and it's like loading? Like it sounds like there's a damn machine going on in that thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know the specifics on it, but that thing was a beast.
The controllers are really cool too. Like they're really cool controllers for that.
Yeah, definitely.
I just thought of a system that came to mind. The Panasonic Q. It was released only in Japan. Really sexy looking system. I'll tell you, it has kind of a mirror front. It's basically a GameCube and a DVD in one.
Oh yeah,
but that was a beautiful looking. That had the blue light, right?
Oh, yeah. Blue light.
That is a gorgeous system.
Sexy system, man.
Mm-hmm. At a front end, do you have one of those, Gamester?
I do. Yeah.
Wow, very nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I go to sleep looking at it every night. No, I'm just joking. But it is a really cool looking system, and really kind of one of those rarities because when they sold it in Japan when it came out, it was more expensive than if you were just get a GameCube and a DVD separately. So why would you get it? Because most people had a DVD player, and those who had GameCubes. So it didn't really sell very well, but kind of an interesting system.
Nice collectible piece, eh? Definitely.
Oh, absolutely,
sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. So cool.
He sends me pictures. He texts me pictures of it at night.
I do. With like kind of mood lighting and music and stuff.
He stages it for sure.
For sure.
Nice. I love it. Okay. So I guess who else has got to answer questions?
Is that it? I think that's it.
So I got to ask my question.
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So my question is from Chaos Star. And this person asks, what was your best and worst blind buy for a game that you have ever come across? So meaning that you walked into a video game store, you kind of looked up at a box and said, I'll take a gamble on it. And I'll start it off, I guess. I don't know what I'd say my best one is, but I definitely know what my worst one was. I remember I had, as a kid, it was, very hard to get money. But I had like $80 in my pocket, and I went up with a friend of mine, and I went to Metrotown. It's a big mall up by me and Rob or whatever. And so I walked into this little toy store, and it was they didn't have EB Games back then. So I walked in this toy store, and they had some overpriced games, and they had a game for the Sega Master System called Dynamite Ducks. Do any of you guys remember this game?
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
No.
I'm already laughing. He's laughing hysterically, actually. But so you're so funny that I put my money down. I paid $80 for this game.
Ouch.
Oh my god! I felt like I put like my hand was heavy holding the money. I was putting it down onto the counter.
That's a lot of money.
I swear the woman gave an evil cackle. And I know, and I took the bus, and the bus ride home felt very long because I was like, "Have I done the right thing? I've done the right thing. Yes, this is going to be a good game. This is going to be a great game. I'm going to have a lot of fun with this game." And I get home, my parents aren't home, the perfect atmosphere, everything's ready to rock. I slam this game in. I turn on the controller, the neon hits my face. I get a smile. Sort of, more of a questioning smile as Dynamite Ducks began. And it's kind of a overhead side view game, and you're a duck, okay? Just so we get this clear. Rob's still laughing. And you're a duck, and you're just going through the level, and you're beating up enemies with this mighty punch that you have. And it's the worst game I've ever played in my fucking life. It's like the worst thing I ever played in my entire life. There was no redeeming thing about it. I beat the game in half an hour, too. I beat it in half an hour. I'm like, okay, now what? I was just so disappointed. I was so gutted, Like, I still dream about that lady at night, Like, paying for her kitchen, to go through college with the money she stole off me that day. It's just brutal. But no, anyway, so that was the worst thing that I ever, like, I'll never forget that memory. I got so burned. I feel the pain every time, and it's on my shelf in my games room, and every time I look at it, I get upset. I'm still upset to this day, and this is like 20 years ago or something like that. I'm still mad about that.
How much is the game selling for on eBay? I'm curious.
Oh, millions. I think I'm sure you can get it for $1. I think some people would pay you to take this game from them.
It's on eBay that they will pay you to take it from.
Exactly. So guys out there, Dynamite Ducks, stay away.
And it's spelled D-U-X because I was trying to search for it. It's
yes.
D-U-X, yeah.
Yeah. I got ducks. Very bad, painful memories.
Sorry.
So I'll push this question on Rob. Like, what do you have a best and worst? Like,
I do have a best, and do I have a worst? Okay. I'll start with the good. Let's be happy for a minute. I had my NES, and if I did well on my report card, I'd get a game as a reward. And so we went down to Willa Video Games in Langley, and I never read magazines. I never had Nintendo Power, so a lot of mine were blind buys. Yeah. And I found this wonderful little game called Blaster Master.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
I knew nothing about it. I just said, look, I need a game that's hard, okay? Because I don't want to be back here later tonight trading it in. And so the guy said, I think this might keep you busy. And that game is, I mean, I'm sure we all know what it is, but amazing, beautiful, and that game is balls hard. I've beat it once, and that's a claim to fame to me, that I've actually finished it.
There's a bunch of different modes in that game, too. There's a top-down, then it's a side-scroller. There's all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, because you're driving that little tank, the Noma Sophia, and if you jump out and then walk into a door with the little guy, it goes to like Zelda view.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where you do your boss battles and get your new equipment, and then back to the tank.
You ever watch the intro to that game? That always made me just bust up laughing. Like, I lost my pet frog, and then he jumps in this hole right in his backyard. Like, there's a nuclear waste hole right here in the backyard. Just let's hop right in after him. Like,
Hey, that's
what
the
the
80s.
fuck?
That's the 80s,
I
man.
cannot believe that's in the
You
backyard.
didn't have a nuclear waste hole in your backyard?
No.
What kind of upbringing is that?
Where's
Jeez.
child services? We need to get this cleaned up. Get these people out of here.
Oh, man, that was my political platform when I ran for prime minister. A nuclear waste dump in every home.
Nice.
But the music of that game, oh wow.
No, very good, very good.
Yeah, it's epic for sure.
I will some nights just turn it on and let that intro play over and over and crack a beer and just listen to it.
Oh, me too. I love that.
I love it.
I get the same thing with Star Tropics. I love that one.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Sure, good game.
So what's your worst?
Oh, the worst. This was another one of those occasions where, boy, did I get my reward. I did well on my report card, and I walked in and I looked around and I thought, hey, I like the movies. I'm going to get Godzilla, King of Monsters.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a hex
Oh,
board
yeah, I know
strategy
it.
game.
Yeah.
But however many hexes you move, then you have to march your nigh unkillable Godzilla or Mothra across a bunch of small tanks and things, and then fight one of the Godzilla bad guys.
So was it like a strategy game with Godzilla's kind of thing?
They wanted you to think so, but really, if you just kept mashing the attack button over and over, you'd win in less than 45 minutes.
Oh.
It was.
Oh.
I mean, we brought it home, and I'd finished it before my parents had even finished making dinner. And that was when I had to start asking the guys behind the counter what games were hard. And that was back when the staff could tell you.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, isn't that interesting? Totally. So
yeah.
That's good. I like it.
It wasn't any Dynamite Ducks, though.
So Pete, what is yours?
Well, I'll start off on the good note. The first one that I bought that really was kind of because back then even I kind of relied on a lot of the magazines. But the one that I did buy that I really didn't know anything about at all was Zone of the Enders on PS2.
Yes.
I'm sure you all picked that up probably for the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo.
Yes.
I didn't, though. I kind of just picked it up because the cover looked awesome, and that has to be one of my favorite PlayStation 2 games. It wouldn't quite crack the top 10, but it would be pretty close up there. Now, I could be wrong. It's based off of an anime series, right?
No, I think it's completely original, and then an anime series came out later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so that's how it went. But yeah, that was a great game. A little bit short, but I'm honestly a fan of short games. It's sort of a mech. I haven't played it in many years, but it's sort of a mech action game. That's. I mean, what? How else can you guys describe it? Like just an action game with mechs, right? I mean, there's no other way really to sum it up,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. I never got around to playing the sequel, which is actually pretty rare these days, from what I've heard. I haven't played that.
Is it rare? Is it why is it rare?
It's fairly. I mean, in terms of PS2 games, there's nothing out there that's besides maybe the special edition for Metal Gear Solid 3. There's nothing out there that's exceedingly rare. But I'd say I'd place it on the uncommon scale for PlayStation 2. It's not like the kind of game where you can just walk in the GameStop and they'll always have a used copy. And it goes for like $50 on eBay, which I'll be quite honest, for a PS2 game to hold its original retail price or higher, you guys know what I mean. Like if it still sells for $50 on eBay, that's pretty expensive for a PS2 game because a lot of them, like most games these days, they depreciate in value. So yeah, the second one's pretty hard to get a hold of. And the series, what's that? Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, I don't think they did a big production run on the sequel for some reason either.
I don't think the game did that extraordinarily well. It's not a huge because where's the third game? That's what
they came out with one on the Game Boy Advance. It was a strategy game, and I think that's the last one they ever released. I mean, I could be wrong.
Was there a Game Boy Advance Zone of the Enders? I did not know that.
Yeah, it was a strategy game.
Wow. Okay, I got to look that up after the show. I had no idea.
Yeah. And my worst one, what the hell is it? Oh, on the Jaguar. Back on the Jaguar, I wasn't doing any research, so it was kind of like every game I bought for that system was like a blind buy. But the absolute worst one that I picked up for that system was a game called Kasumi Ninja. Have any of you heard of this game?
Is it like the Mortal Kombat, isn't it? Kind of
yeah.
rip-off?
Oh my god. The cover was cool, and they kind of gave you a free headband to go with it. But oh my Oh my god!
Don't they have like a guy in a kilt who like lifts it up and like flame fireballs?
Oh, is that game?
Yeah.
I remember that game. This is the guy in the kilt. I always remember.
What? Yeah. There was a guy in a kilt?
And he lifts it up and like fireball comes out of his crotch. It's hilarious.
I never forget the kilt.
I think Angry Video Game Nerd did a review on that or something like that, but no,
probably,
it's a horrible game. I agree with you.
Controls are just abysmal, and I think the funniest thing behind the game is I think they said that like all the characters that they used in the game, I forget the term for what is called, but you know how like in the original Mortal Kombat they kind of use like real actors for the sprites, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Motion capture.
Yeah, motion capture. So all the characters in this game are kind of just like the producers of the game or like their brother-in-law, just something stupid, like crazy people that they kind of just pulled in for the game.
People from bums off the street, they're like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, really. But the game is so bad that it's almost good. It's almost, it's worth buying. Just
isn't it like sometimes you press down and like something completely random happens? It's really that fucked up.
Well, I remember, I think the video game, Angry Video Game Nerd, I mentioned this too, but the combos in that game are like impossible to pull off. That's why when I was playing it as a kid, like you couldn't really do anything but punch and kick because everything else was just so damn hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's too bad.
Yeah, so that would definitely be one of the worst ones that comes to memory.
Sure.
A lot of the other really bad games I didn't really buy, I didn't pay full price for. They were kind of just, garage sale find, and I kind of had an idea about them, but that would be the worst blind purchase. What about you, Gamester?
Probably one of the worst purchases I made recent history here a couple years ago was, okay, I play trombone. Okay, so I'm a band nerd, if you want to call me that. And when Wii Music came out, I was like one of those people who were like, oh man, this looks awesome. I can't wait. I got it day one, dude. Seriously.
Me too.
And I bought it. I did, dude. I bought it. I played it for like 20 minutes and I haven't played it since. Terrible game.
Me too. It's still sitting on my shelf.
It's collecting dust.
Oh God.
That's probably one of the worst purchases I've made in a while. It's just really poorly. I don't even know why Nintendo made. Remember the conference and they announced that at E3? It was like
it was hyped.
Hell,
it was they were talking all kinds of crazy shit that we could do with it.
Yeah, terrible game.
The band geeks gotten.
Yeah.
I bought it too.
I got taken on that hardcore. But okay, as far as awesome pickups, it was in the early '90s for the Super Nintendo. I was really living off Final Fantasy 2 and Final Fantasy 3. I wanted to get myself other role playing games, and I was at Fred Meyer up in Washington area, and I picked up Soul Blazers Enix game. You guys played?
Yeah, it's a classic game.
I didn't know. I didn't know anything about it when I bought it. I just saw it. I saw the cover. It was really cool. And I picked it up. I seriously played it, never put it down. Awesome, phenomenal game, Soul Blazers. So,
I love that game on the Super Nintendo. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a classic, top-down kind of style RPG.
Oh, definitely.
It was epic game.
My parents went away to Reno and they brought me that back, and I was just like, "Thank you." I loved it. It was so good. Yeah,
I was really surprised because when I bought it, I didn't read any reviews on it. I really didn't know what to expect. And I was just really surprised on that game. It was a
very fun game.
Yeah, music was great. Enix did a great job with that game for sure. Yeah. So I guess we'll go with Jason.
Well, gosh, Wii Music. I bought that thing too. That made me think of another one actually. I bought Endless Ocean for the Wii.
Oh, that's actually a pretty decent game.
Where's the sound effect?
You know what? It's okay. I mean, you know what? The thing is I bought it because the music is incredible on that game. I love the music. And evidently the artist that did all the music, it's only exclusively to that game. And I thought, well, hell, even if the game sucks, I still have the music is really what I wanted to listen to. And, the game's okay. I know, P, you said it. Yeah, you kind of like it or whatever. I didn't really find it too interesting. It does have online play, and I thought that was cool, too. You can swim around with your friend and...
That sounds kind of creepy.
Play with your dolphins together.
We'll go swimming together later on, Jason.
I like it.
It's a game of exploration, though. There's not much there's not much gameplay to it. It's more of just like a sit back and chill game.
It's a starfish.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Basically, yeah, that's how it is.
Exactly. Yeah, that is. Yeah, you find all these different, sea creatures and whatever, and then. But anyway, so I kind of got.
There's a colored fish over there.
I kind of got bit literally on that one there. So
topless mermaids would make it more interesting.
We're talking about the Nintendo quality of steel earlier. That one wouldn't have passed.
I think I just got a crab.
But then one I did impulse buy back in the day. Now, I'm not into tennis, really, in real life, not that much. But I bought Mario Tennis for the Nintendo 64.
I thought you were going to say virtual tennis. I was waiting for you to say that.
Virtual Boy, that's a good one too.
No, that is good too. That is a good game too. I'm talking about the one for the 64 because that game is probably one of my top multiplayer games for the console. Say the single player campaign, whatever. That game shines in multiplayer. It really does. The controls are tight. The gameplay is addictive, and it's just a pick up and play title. I mean, I played this title with my dad, my mom, and they're not gamers, right? It was just a pick up and play title. We had a lot of really good times with that. So, I don't know. I just was like, what am I going to get? Oh, it's Mario Tennis. I don't know. What the hell? And I just gave it a shot, and it's a game I still play to this day. So that would be probably my best impulse buy there.
Who wants to take us out? Hey,
that's all.
So more of that dynamite duck stuff. I'm a sensitive guy. Wait, there's a monkey. I'm saying Super Monkey Balls. What's going on here? I didn't buy Super Monkey Balls. I bought Dynamite Ducks. Oh my god.
Okay.
Only they made Howard the Duck into a video game. Now
there goes Jason swimming with the dolphins. Oh shit, there's a whale.
It sounds like my ex-girlfriend, to be honest.
I saw it too.
Oh god.
All right. Well, guys, it's been fun. We'll talk to you guys soon, I guess, huh? I don't know. How do you want to end this?
Shut up, Game Street 81.
How do you want to end this?
We'll see y'all later.
Hey, I'm sensitive about this Ducks thing.
I'm sorry. No more.
So that is episode 11 of All Gen Gamers. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And be sure to subscribe through iTunes, because that'll guarantee that you download the episode every week, and then you can listen to it at your leisure as you like. And check out allgengamers.com. You can find a link to the forum there. You can interact with all of your hosts and ask them questions to be answered right here on the show.
Thank you, guys.
Rob, it was fun having you on, man. We'll do it again.
Being on, Rob.
It was awesome.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. It was an absolute blast. I've been looking forward to getting a chance to sit and chat.
We'll be bringing him back for sure.
Absolutely.
Hey, not that duck again. Stop it. Stop it, Jason.